it actually helps to forget about what that focus is for a short while, to actually take a complete break from what it is that you are working on, so that you don't completely burn out, that you don't completely overstimulate yourself to a point where it doesn't feel like it's even fun anymore. Friend, here's something I don't know if you know. While the podcast is a thought of mine for a long time, thinking of me absolutely could not be doing this without our very own Wizard of Oz, Kyle, at Goodknight Podcasting Solutions. Kyle's turnaround time, dedication and level of service means that I never have to second guess or worry about the level of support in getting our messaging out to you. If you're curious as to starting your own podcast, or just want to see how it might spread your message, reach out to Kyle at kylegoodknight.com or check our show notes. I mean it when I say that we couldn't be doing this without him. Hello, happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Thinking of Me podcast, where today we share more of my thoughts. And in today's episode, it actually brings us to a wrap of season 2, Action and Exploring. And today I really thought the most important thought to share with you is in and around focus. And I have 3 things that I do to share with you today in how to manage and enhance your focus. So friend, I invite you first to reflect on one thing today that is going well in your day. The reason I'm opening today's episode with that, which to me used to be something foreign, used to be something that went against the norm of how I used to think, because often we start conversations with a litany of complaints. We can start by talking about something that's just gone wrong, or that we're in crisis with, or an emergency that's just happened, or something negative about ourselves, or downplaying about ourselves to make someone else feel better. If you know what I mean here, and you're around people where sometimes they're the only conversations you have, it can bring you into a focus on only the things that are going wrong. So what's one thing today that is going right or has gone right recently? What's one thing you can kind of say thank you for? And I really invite you to bring something to mind. What can you say you're grateful for? What can you look at that's happened somewhere in the last 24 hours that made you smile? Because what's wrong is always available to us, but so is what's right. And in shifting our focus at the start of today together, in our short time that we spend every week, I want to hear what those positive things are. And please do DM me, comment, send me an email with your thoughts. I would really love to hear your wins, your positive focus points, the things that are going well, the things you're grateful for. And you can do that by commenting below, by sending me a direct message at lauren.jean_ at thinkingofmecoaching@gmail.com, where I really read and listen to your wins. So if you have something that you're grateful for today, I'm going to share a quick story around focus, and it's a true story. So right now, this exact minute, I'm at home in my home place in County Westmeath with my grandparents' house. And I have been for the last couple of weeks as navigate some changes that the entrepreneurship bring world, changes there, where there's changes happening in family and in health dynamics, and also just in truly paving out what the next aligned step looks like. And I've also noticed where some of the shift in my focus has gone, in kind of being around distractions more again, and being kind of at other people's call more often again. And if you know what I mean here, in some of those distraction moments or someone else's needs coming before your own, you might be familiar with that feeling of frustration. So the story is a true one, as I say, that literally happened today, where I was awoken I was woken before my alarm to attend to someone else's needs. And I'm not a mother. And for moms out there listening, I know that this happens to you, I'm sure, multiple times in any given hour, never mind any one given day. But I'm not at a point in life where I'm being woken by my child crying or anything along those lines, okay? So I'm woken for someone else's need, and my focus isn't in line yet because I'm not a morning person. And then suddenly my focus is out of line for the rest of the morning in the order of tasks that I like to kind of set up my day with and kind of get into the routine and the flow of what's important for focusing on in that day. What's the one big task? So the story today was then an opening the conversation of, can I please put a boundary here where unless, the house is falling down or there's a massive emergency, that not to interrupt that routine, that ritual that I have in my sleep pattern. And the reason I share that really brief story is because one thing that started to change how I could focus was in setting up routines and rituals that created a boundary, a protective space, that created a circle, nearly, a invisible shield between what I'm doing and what's happening in the outside world. Because it can get chaotic out there. And if we can't manage what's happening in our sphere of control, in the things just that we're doing, and we're focusing out on what's happening outside of us, on what's happening outside our bubble, outside the things that we actually have any kind of influence or power on, our focus goes left, right, and centre. Our focus starts to drift and wander. It starts to get frantic. It starts to lose energy, because where focus goes, energy flows. And one self-reflection point that I really thought about repeatedly is in that quote, where focus goes, energy flows. And the times I'm most exhausted are the times that I feel the most burnt out or overstretched, or like I'm not achieving anything or moving forward, is honestly the times when my focus is in all different directions and I'm like a squirrel and things are frantic and the house is on fire all the time. So if you know what I mean there, one thing that protects my focus is in that boundary, is in that routine, is in that ritual bubble of, this is me getting set up to do a thing. So in the thing of getting out of the bed and going about my morning and brushing my teeth, having my breakfast, feeling ready and set up for the day, a ritual, a boundary, a routine I have in place is when my alarm goes off, that's when I get up and I keep my notifications on silent during the night. So when the alarm goes off, I get up on that alarm as if there's no other alarm, as if there's only one bell or one dong in this like tribal community. And if you miss that dong or that bell, the rest of the village is gone and you're left behind as such. I don't give myself too many options with multiple alarms anymore. There's one alarm, and when that's up, that means I go. And the thing that protects that, as I say, one thing is I keep my notifications off. Another thing that I find with protecting my focus is, where am I when I'm trying to do the task at hand? What is my setup like? So right now, I'm in the television room, as we call it in our home house, where my only focus is in talking to you, my friend. Where are you right now? What are you doing as you listen to this? Sometimes when I was listening to podcasts first, the only way I could focus on the podcast was walking, was putting my shoes on, getting out the door and going for a 5k walk or a 3k walk at a pace that meant that I could listen to the words of the podcast and what was being said to me. They could seep in. At other times, the only way I could focus was if I was in the car and I was listening to this on a radio. Or when I'd be outside the house and on a commute or between tasks, And it was just as I was kind of walking to and from different shops or whatever it might be. But I found in those times my focus was always a little bit split. Wasn't always my favourite, but it was the only way I could get it in, get it done. So where you are when you're doing a task really does affect the amount of focus, the amount of attention you give to something. And as someone who loves being around people, who loves some of the fun things, some of the exciting things, my attention can overspill, and then I forget sometimes to come back maybe to what I was doing, or my attention can get so hyper focused on just what I'm doing that it doesn't matter who's around me or what's happening. That's the one thing that's happening. There's nothing else that's happening around me. There's no one else that I can engage with because this is the task at hand. So where are you when you're trying to get something done? Does that look like a quiet workspace in a library, in an office? Does that look like somewhere where there's white noise around, like a cafe, or on a commute on a train or something like that, where it doesn't matter if there's the chitter chatter, but there's nobody actually talking to you, that you just have that white noise, that buzz? Or is it somewhere in nature? Is it somewhere a little bit more peaceful? Is it when you're literally physically moving and getting two tasks kind of stacked on top of each other at once? What is your key space for focus? And the third thing when it comes to focus, friend, is what can distract me? And I know this sounds maybe counterintuitive, but hear me on this one. I have been in situations and in times of life where nothing else has mattered except the next goal. Whether it was losing the weight and it was going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, getting the steps in, checking in it obsessively, or trying to get the grade in whatever assignment. Let's be honest, in my story, that hadn't really happened since secondary school. I kind of blurred the edges a small bit in college. Or it's the night out and you're so hyper focused on what you're wearing, what way you're going to do your hair. Have you all the makeup? For guys out there, I know you don't have the same amount of things, but I do know that it's also important to you to look well. And all that's thought about for the week or the 2 weeks or the month before an event is what you're wearing. And in distraction moments, it actually helps to forget about what that focus is for a short while, to actually take a complete break from what it is that you are working on, as I say, you are moving towards, so that you don't completely burn out, that you don't completely overstimulate yourself to a point where it doesn't feel like it's even fun anymore, or to a point where you're not actually getting anywhere, you're just doing the same thing over and over again and nothing's actually changing. And one of my favourite distractions is, as I say, some of those nature moments, is connecting, meeting up with some friends, or is doing something completely different that gets me completely lost. And I will literally go and get lost somewhere, that's in the car or in and around town, and just wander some shops. So they're my 3 things to actually enhance, optimize, and sustain my focus. What are yours? Always having in the back of mind, why is this important? Why is whatever task it might be, whatever activity that you're engaging in, or goal that you're working towards, why is that important that you do put attention to it, that you do eliminate all other options, that you do keep moving in that direction? Because you'll find then, when you know why you're doing it, your focus sharpens faster, more intent, and in more alignment than you might think possible. So they're my thoughts this week. As I say, we are at the end of season 2, Action and Exploring, where our guests have been on. One guest that we have coming up this week is Saoirse, and Saoirse is someone from school days, and we actually shared together in and around school being an escape for myself, and also maybe a place for some rebellion and some exploration of your own personality, your own friend groups, and all the things that can happen next that we don't always keep in touch with as the journey moves forward in the rest of our health challenges or our academic challenges or some family dynamics start to hit ahead. They were some of the things we chatted about. So that's out on Thursday, friend. If you are joining us in the Mullingar Park Hotel live in person on March 29th, we'll be together, Saoirse, myself, some of our other guest speakers, at 2 p.m. You can register now on thinkingofmecoaching.com/masters to get your ticket, get your itinerary, and really get the buzz going for that. It's our first in-person event. And if you have any thoughts, any insights, or any questions, please do reach out, DM, email, or comment. I read every one of them. Friend, I hope it's a great week, and thanks for being here.